Hey everyone, Mr. Wineland here. Yay, chapter 2, section 2. Yeah, got it right. All right, so what we're going to talk about is we talked about the early Native American tribes. Now we're going to go into more modern tribes that had been in this area at one point in time. These aren't the tribes. Later on, we're going to get into the 5 civilized tribes. Those tribes actually came from the south. And there's a big mess of bringing them from the south into the Indian territory. But we're going to talk about some of the earlier tribes that were discovered by some of our first European explorers. But also we're going to get into some of their culture as well. So a lot of the first encounters with the tribes came from Spain. Spain at this point in time, because you remember in 1492, who sailed the ocean blue? Columbus. Columbus sailed the ocean blue. I hope you got that. Okay. Anyway, 1493 opens up more Spanish explorers thanks to Columbus. In 1493, we see Francisco Vasquez de Coronado led an expedition, and this is actually the first recorded contact between the Native Americans or the Indians and the Spanish. So this is your answer number 15. So Coronado is able to travel into this region, and he has identified the Apache tribe as the long-living tribe along the Canadian River. And actually, I think that is actually number 17. I apologize. Let me put that right there. My apologies. I put the wrong thing. So there we go. Coronado identified the Apache at number 17, tribe living along the Canadian River region or Texas in western Oklahoma. So that is a big part of the discovery with him, is that he helped identify those tribes and build these faithful relationships with them. And then went around the Red River in what is known as Wichita Mountains. Coronado ran into the Wichita Indian tribe, and the Wichitas are actually a little bit more nicer than the Apache, and they got the term truthful and honorable. So 15, 17, and 19 are all right here if you want to write those down. But 15 is right there, 17 Apache, and then 19 is the Wichita. So we're going to kind of get more into Coronado. So let's go more into this. Also, just not too far, we had the Spanish monks in 1542. Went in a lot later, obviously, and they actually ran into the Kaw Indians, which answer number 18, the Kaw, not far from where Coronado met with the Wichita. So the Kaw were a lot different. They are more of a warlike type of tribe. They're a lot more fierce than the Apache and the Wichita, not as friendly. So, but they also known for hunting the buffalo, growing small crops. Other encounters with Native American tribes, and we're going to learn more about this when we get into the next chapter. But 1601, Juan de Onates explored the western Oklahoma, where he too met the Wichita, which is part of number 19. So the Wichita, you should already have that, but just making sure if you didn't get it, it's the Wichita. So by the mid-1700s, we started to see that the French have built a relationship with the Native Americans. Not that the Spanish haven't, but the French really appreciated the Native American tribes because the Spanish were just mostly there for the land. They were trying to capture as much land as they could. The French, it wasn't just about capturing the land; it was also getting furs and learning the environment, the ecosystem, and they really built a relationship with the Native American tribes, and they really got to know the Wichita, and they really were trading partners with them, hunting partners, and so we see the French are gaining furs and other goods from the tribes, and then they're also giving guns and other ammunition, and so we're seeing other metal tools are being given to them as well. We see that we're going to kind of get into, we'll talk more about the Europeans another time. We have the next set of chapters, but let's talk about their culture of the Indian cultures. So we see that a lot of the cultures from the Indians, they were more polytheistic type, but they didn't believe in like specific god names. It was more of like certain spirits. Nature was a big part of their religion. Afterlife was a big part of their faith as well. They believed that if you're a brave warrior and a faithful woman, you would be rewarded. If you're a coward, a thief, you would not. You would not see the afterlife. So they were also prey to the great spirits and all the things that had power. So Mother Nature was a big part of this culture. Here's your definitions for totem and shaman. Part of their faith is they had totems, which was an animal or a bird spirit to guide them or pray to them. So it was kind of like, you know, if you ever watched the cartoon Mulan, you had there's a Mushu, I think that's the name, but the dragon that guided Mulan. I don't think that's a accurate portrayal, by the way, of the Chinese culture, but that spirit, the dragons, you know, was kind of like a totem in some ways in that movie, and that's kind of what this is that this animal spirit was kind of a guide, and that's something they could go to in need of guidance in nature. The shaman was more of a wise man, a medicine man. Who used herbs and prayer to heal the sick. We see that also they believed in all things that tied the world together. So this definitely played a big part in their world. Um, we're going to get into some more of their culture here in a minute, but this is some of the villages in Cato County. As you can see, a Cato village here. You can see the different types of huts that they had. Here's some earlier huts by the Apache, and it's pretty unique right here what we're seeing, and a lot of different like hay and sticks and stuff to create it. And this right here is the Wichita Council Room, the house. So it's pretty massive structure that they're able to build. So pretty amazing stuff that you see a lot of these villages during this time. So go back to the notes. So honestly, the shaman was also more than just someone who was a medicine man. They would also go to for wisdom and any sort of guidance as well. Honesty was expected. Lying was not tolerated. When it came to family, this is your answer number 16. Marriages were permitted only to related tribes. Now, listen, they did believe in polygamy. You could have more than one wife, but most of the time what it happened is that they would only have the one wife, but sometimes like, you know, a wife's husband would die in battle, and so that she would need a husband to take care of or be a part of a family of that tribe. And so that's how they would be. It wasn't like, hey, I'm going to have any wife that I want, but it was more of just kind of out of respect and love for the tribe. Men were warriors and hunters, maintained the camp government, made sure no one went hungry or cold, possessions of importance. The chief, the shaman, and the camp crier. The camp crier, so the chief was obviously in charge of the whole tribe. Shaman, your wise man, your medicine man. Your camp crier was more of like helping and leading battle and hunts, and also telling stories and as part of a leadership position in the tribe. Women kept the home and the family, clothed and fed their family, gathered wild roots, berries, other food. We do see certain food that women would prepare. Certain meats were eaten raw, roasted over an open fire, boiled in water, dried. Wild animals, bear, squirrel, duck were a food source. Other foods were wild honey and natural foods. Some plants were also used as medicines, like wildflowers, where plants were used for natural healing. So 100 different types of plants were used by Native Americans. Many plants for medicine, like aspirin, for example, was used or created. So, but we do see that most of the time, a lot of these cultures would just do anything they could to survive. So if a plant would help them, they would use it. All right, well, that's going to do it for section 2. It was really quick, but that's going to do it. And hopefully we'll start chapter 3 soon. Can't wait. See ya.